the one and only Joe Perry. How are you, man?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Good to see you again.
Yeah,
We spent a little time in Wichita, Kansas last week.
yeah. I've been all over the place, man.
Yeah, it's great to see you, man. And the shows were just killer that I saw. I know they were first couple shows of this leg of the tour, actually. How did it feel to you guys?
It felt great. It felt like we picked up beyond where we left off. Usually, as the tours go on, they get better and better and better, and you just keep massaging them and getting the production down. And the first leg of the tour, we had some production problems, but the audiences loved the shows, and the band played great. But I don't think it was as good. The overall energy was as good as this one. I mean, we came out of the box on fire on this one. So this is some of the best production I remember, the best playing I remember for a long time.
I heard you talking to, I think, Brad about that, actually, where you felt, backstage at one of the gigs, that you really felt that way, that you felt this was really like a huge leap forward. Why do you think it is? Why do you think that do you think that having a new album out drove it in some way, that you guys actually went to another level?
Well, I think it was a combination of things. It was working with Jack in the studio for 3 months, cutting the demos, and he's very big on the whole band playing together, and you can't beat that. I mean, if you're playing together every day and working stuff out and hammering away. Then we went off and toured South America and played some incredible shows there, and then we went to Japan, and the fans were overwhelmingly amazed that we came, because apparently quite a few artists had canceled the tour because of the radiation and
from the earthquake.
Yeah, from the earthquake and the disaster and all that. So they were really happy we came, and that added an extra level of excitement to the shows, and we were really, every show just got better and better, and then we went right from that right into the studio to finish the record. So it was a matter of these things that just keep help building the band's tightness and the playing everything, and then being in LA was a really creative time for us, finishing the record, and it was a great experience.
Are you surprised that, I mean, the I don't know what the word is, the birth of this record, obviously it's been a long time coming, and obviously for a few years there it looked like there might not even be an Aerosmith with all the guys on board, and then you finally all get on the same page and you get in the studio to make this thing. How did it feel to finally get in there and do it? Because I know the four of you, when there was the division with Steven, you were all about, this was it, to make this record. You wanted to make new music. Now you finally get this thing out. Was the process of finally going into the studio and doing it enjoyable? Was it, did all maybe the tensions leading up to it, once you got in there, did it cause...
Well, we've been working on making this record for the last 10 years. We had 2 or 3 times where we literally had time set aside, and we were showing up at the studio every day, working on songs, working on some riffs and trying to get things rolling. And the first time was with Jack Douglas, and we ended up not having enough time. Things were, for whatever reason, weren't lined up. The stars, I don't even remember what it was, but we didn't have enough time to do a all new song thing. So we did a blues record, which was something we always wanted to do.
Honkin' on
It
both.
wasn't really a rock and blues, whatever you want to call it, and
Right.
It was great because we got to play as a band. We didn't have to worry about coming up with new material, and we worked with Jack, and it was and that definitely woke up some old memories, and then we got in the studio with Brendan, and the scheduling just didn't work out. It was just too hard to get everybody lined up again, and then there was I don't know, and we're touring in between all of this, so it was all, a lot of the stuff I think was important, because every time we got together to do a tour, practice for the tour, work on these records, we're throwing riffs off and we're throwing songs off, and it gave us a good solid backbone of stuff to start with when we started doing playing the tracks now with Jack last summer.
So with this album going through this period of almost 10 years to actually come out, and there's being some start-stops in there along the way, what portion of this material, I mean, what's the newest thing on here that was written like right in the last minute, versus I imagine some songs that you had been knocking around with throughout that whole process, right?
I'd have to say, I'd say Freedom Fighter was probably the one that came along the quickest. I mean, the latest. I mean, from nothing to being done. Waking up in the morning, writing, going to the studio, laying everything down, and finally getting a finished song by that night. That was one of the freshest, newest ones, and some of the other ones go back 25 years.
Really?
I mean, it's so. I mean, every song's got a different story. It's not like we all, got in a room, wrote everything, and every song kind of came out of this one writing session or this one cycle of an album. I mean, we really picked clean all the best stuff that we had, and again, as the record developed, it was really inspiring, and there were guys dropping by the studio that would not normally be there, and it kind of like gives you some added push,
What song was around, would you say, the longest? In other words, what song had been in the catalog and that you've been toying with the longest that finally made it onto this record?
I'd say Legendary Child.
Really?
Yeah.
Which was the lead single from the record, actually.
Yeah.
When did you originally start working on that?
Well, I think I remember writing the riff, that first riff, back when we were rehearsing at Tenerife, when was that? Yeah, but what?
92.
92. So that was when that riff started, and then it got thrown in one song, then it got thrown in another song, and in fact, it shows up twice on the record. And I don't know, not many people have brought that to anybody's attention. They haven't noticed it or not.
I haven't noticed it. What are the songs?
I'm not sure. I'm having trouble keeping track of the names of the record, names of the songs.
Well, I got the booklet here.
Because so many of them have love in them. So I couldn't tell you. But anyway, it gets treated different in both in each song.
Right.
One has vocals on it. The other one is more of an instrumental thing. So, we threw the riff into different songs, and it's kind of funny when we went back and played this other song that it was in. We realized that we had done that, and it occurred to us that it was there. We figured, well, shouldn't we take it out? Can we do that? I mean, and we said, well, of course we can. We can do whatever we want. We can put it in 5 times.
But it's your riff.
But it worked, and it so far it hasn't caused anybody to. I mean, I haven't read about it anywhere. Anybody saying anything about it.
No, I haven't. I mean, I've listened to the record. I mean, I haven't listened to it to the degree where I would maybe hear it that closely. But I've listened to it all the way through, maybe 2 or 3 times since I've had it, and I haven't picked it out.
That's funny.
I,
Well,
I haven't. And "Legendary
okay.
Child" is one of my favorite songs on the
Okay.
record.
That sounds like a contest coming up.
Exactly. Find the used twice riff in the new Aerosmith album. You know, the other cool thing about this that I noticed is that this really seems like it was. I find it interesting because you hear about all the dysfunction in the press about Aerosmith. I'm sure you heard that in the New York paper just a couple days ago,
Yeah.
page 6, the gossip column,
Right.
headline "Aerosmith turmoil." The record's not selling. The band hates each other.
I don't know
This
what
and
planet
that.
they're on.
Well, you know what I found funny about it, Joe, and I mentioned this, and I sent that on my Twitter about it too, is that I had read this. That was the paper that came out the day that I got back from spending 5 days with you guys. You know, I had the honor of getting a ride on your plane. I had the honor of sitting and talking with you for a little while. I had the honor of watching Steven warm up and talk to him for a little bit. Joey, Brad, Tom, spending time with everybody. Truly being, it was a really special moment for me, being a lifelong fan of the band, to really be able to be that close to you guys. And seeing the magic that happened when you guys went on stage, and then coming home and reading that, it was like, where does this shit come from? I mean, it was clearly based in nothing, because I just literally lived the opposite experience of what people talk about, and I don't get it.
It was a slow news week.
It's really not, though. You got problems in the Middle East. You've got an election that just happened. All these things, and of all the things. But again, you also keep in mind it was the gossip column
Yeah.
that wrote about it.
I read it and I'm going, who's saying this stuff? Why are they saying this stuff? It's totally wrong. It's irrelevant, you know, and it's a gossip column, you know, and
It struck
at
me.
least they could get it right, you know.
Well,
God.
it struck me as someone that, because nobody put their name to it, that clearly had an axe to grind. Because I thought it was also kind of interesting that they mention people, very behind the scenes people from a fan's perspective, in terms of past managers and A&R guys. They haven't had anything to do with the band in years. So I thought it was very curious that their names were in the article.
I mean, it was really strange. I mean, it's like, it's been 10 or 12 years since some of those people were even had anything to do with the band, and it was just, my reaction was the same as yours. I mean, you know, we're up there, the fans are having a great time, the show's incredible, the band's getting along better than ever, and it's I don't know. That's it.
But I think
it's not
people.
even worth. And the thing is, we were thinking about putting something out about it, some kind of to set it straight. And it's like, why even validate it by trying to, you know, answer it? It's ridiculous.
Well, I almost think, and I mean, and this is tying in. The reason why I'm bringing it up is it's tying into a bigger thing in a second here. But I almost, to me, think that I think people almost like. There's a side of people that, even if it's not true, they want that sort of shit. They want to just stir the pot. And there's a few things I think people have to understand. I've been around doing this 30 years now, tons of rock bands. Very few rock bands that I've ever been backstage or with or on the road with or seen are all in the same room together at the same time, holding hands, singing together. Everybody is kind of doing their own thing, what they have to do to prepare for the show, right?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, you all after 40 years or whatever have your process of what you need to do to get ready to play.
Right.
So does somebody coming in who doesn't understand how it works and be like, oh wow, they're all in different dressing rooms? Well, most bands are. I mean, that's just how it works, but I don't think that people fully get that.
Well, I don't even know if whoever that someone is even around the band.
Right,
I
that's
don't even know. I mean, they didn't have the name on it, and everything that was said was counteracted with a positive, with some truth by a spokesman for the band. So there it is. You know, I mean, it's just so much noise.
My point in closing this part of this conversation out is the fact that all of this discussion about the crazy dysfunction in Aerosmith, and make no doubt about it, there's certainly been issues along the road. You'd be the first to admit that.
Yeah.
But what's
we've been together 42 years. We've got families. We've got different lives. We each like to live our lives the way we want to, you know. And so outside of the band, you know, you're going to have, you know, bumps and grinds when not everybody's going to be doing the same thing at the same time. And so, you know, it's like a family. So,
but the point of all this is this: who else? I find it hysterical that you hear about all these issues, but who else is out there with the same 5 guys that started it all? If it was really that bad, I mean, 99% of bands out there are diluted to hell. You got one original guy, maybe 2. You've got, you know, this guy in this guy's spot. You've got this guy pretending to be this guy. You've got this, that. I mean, it's like ridiculous now. Aerosmith, for all the shit you hear about that, even if it was true, for the better good of the band and the fans, you make it work. You're the actual same 5 guys.
That's the key that you said right there for the fans. You know, I mean, we realize we're entertainers. That's what we're there for, and that's always been the thing. The show must go on, whatever. I mean, we've had some real freakouts in the 70s, and still went out and played, you know. And
those are fueled by other things than besides any sort of fighting, though.
And gave up everything we had for the audience, and that's still what it is today. I mean, the band gets on stage, and whatever's going on, it gets washed away by we get the energy from the fans, you know. It turns us on. It goes back to them, and it's like we're the fire that the tribe dances around, and that's how we look at it. And we're there to do a job, and that's it.
Joe, I got to tell you, I mean, I can't tell you enough how much I felt that as a fan, just in the last couple shows that I saw. It really. There is a magic, no matter what's going on, when the 5 of you guys are on that stage for 2 hours. I mean, it is something that transcends anything that I could put my words to. It's just, no matter what, even if the 5 of you guys truly hated each other, when you walk out there on that stage, there is energy, there's smiles, it seems like it's really a locked in, at least for those 2 hours, fraternity, brotherhood that can't be broken. It's remarkable.
Well, you said it. You know, I don't have to. There's nothing I can add to that, because and you being a witness to that, as you know, as recently as a week ago or 2 weeks ago, you said it all.
So you're having fun on this tour. That's the bottom line. You're enjoying it. I know you go for a few more weeks with it into middle of December, right?
Yeah.
And then what's the plan from there?
Then we're going to take some time off. I'm going to be working on my book and probably some solo stuff, music, and then hopefully we'll be starting a world tour next summer.
And for people who haven't seen this show yet, and again, Aerosmith is at Madison Square Garden in New York tomorrow, and then the tour dates continue. Just go to aerosmith.com to see if there's a date on this leg to check out. Cheap Trick is opening, phenomenal band.
It's been great playing with them. I mean,
so cool.
They're hotter than ever. I mean, they're pulling out great songs, and they're playing some of their hits that you'd be bummed if they didn't. And they're kicking ass. And
they're doing a full hour, so I mean, you got to get there. I mean, they go on 7:30, play right till 8:30. I know they backload. I was talking to Rick about this. By design, they backload all the hits so that people coming in late, when they walk in, heard nothing but 4 hits in a row.
You're talking to a pro there.
Exactly. But the other thing about the 2 bands that's amazing is that it's 2 bands from the 70s, and yourself and Cheap Trick, that honestly, and I can say this and with complete sincerity, are as good, if not better, live than they've ever been. the energy is there, the songs are there, the playing is there, everybody's sober, everybody's healthy, everybody's spot on in their playing, and maybe the other biggest thing is it's the rare example where two bands with Steven and Robin that have singers that can still sing the stuff no perfect.
Well, hey man, we're a dying breed.
And it's awesome that you're together because it's very much
I mean, I think people should come out just to see us because there's there's nothing else around like it. I mean, if you want to see rock and roll and the way that it's I think that it should be done. Come to the show.
Yeah. And there's an amazing light show.
I can't believe I said that.
Why?
Because, but I don't know. I just sit back and I think about that. About the, I never would have thought it was going to go this far. And the guys in Cheap Trick, we're old friends. We go back, to hanging around in the '70s. I remember hanging around with Rick and Gene Simmons, late at night after somebody's show or.
Well, you both played on his album in '78. You both did guest solos.
That's when I met him.
Yeah.
For the first time, and then after that, we would get together late at night when we'd be in New York and go out and have Chinese food or Japanese food or whatever. And so we've been together. We've been friends for a long time, and it's been great being able to play with them and seeing Kiss keeping on, and the same with Cheap Trick.
Let me play a track from the new record and play one more, and then we'll come back and chat for a little bit. I don't know how much time you have, but I want to talk about your book, which I know one of your writers working with you on it is here actually right now.
Yeah.
And I know that you've been working on that. I want to find out more about that. I also want to ask you a few more things about the live show and a couple more things on the record if I can. And I'd love Street Jesus on this. Can I play that one? Are you cool with that?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a good. Can you play one more off of the record?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I can do a total of 3. I was telling you off the air that we have a weird...
you lost me as soon as you said I can only... okay, but
for people that don't know, on satellite radio, there's strict rules about publishing and things like that prohibit me from playing more than 3 songs from the same record in a 3-hour period. It's a legal thing. I have nothing to do with it. So 3 is our cap from the new album. So we can do Street Jesus, and then we'll do one more that you want to play if that's cool. Yeah. What's the origins of this song? Can you talk about that a little bit? The Street Jesus?
This is one that Brad had a riff for a while, and they threw some riffs into it that had been around, and it just rocks.
It does rock.
It was one of those songs that just was right up our alley, and it just came alive, man.
Maybe more so than any other song on this record, this kind of gives me that old Aerosmith vibe at times, and it's on the new album, Music from Another Dimension. So let's play it for you guys right now. It's brand new Aerosmith, Street Jesus, and we'll come back and continue our discussion with the great Joe Perry, who is here live in the studio. It's Eddie Trunk. We are live nationwide throughout America and Canada on Sirius XM 39. Check this out if you haven't heard it yet. Great track from the new Aerosmith album, Music from Another Dimension, which is out now. It's called Street Jesus, and Joe Perry is here live in the studio with me on Sirius XM 39 Trunk Nation. And I was just talking to Joe during the song, and he said, yeah, bring it on if you guys have some questions and want to call in and talk to Joe Perry, which I know you no doubt do. Make those calls now. Katie will get you screened out and ready to go. We'll put you live on the air in just a few minutes at 866-315-2663. 866-315-2663. So what we were talking about during the song playing is the set list, which 40 years and countless great albums, and now a new album to promote, is just got to be brutal to kind of sort out and figure out who ultimately makes the decision on what you're going to play on any given night on the tour.
Well, it's a group decision. We usually take the set that we did the night before and the set that we did the last time we were in the town, kind of glance at that, and then kind of think about which one of the new songs we want to play or add to the show, and which one of the old ones has got to come out, and it's a group decision pretty much. And when it gets really, like, sometimes somebody will say something at a meet and greet, and we'll go, oh yeah, let's play that one, and we'll throw it in. Once in a while, we'll all get together, and rather than, because John has to go around, to everybody's dressing room and said, Joey wants to do this one, or Steven doesn't want to do that one, and to save some time and trouble, we all get together. But usually, John takes about two circuits around the dressing rooms, and we've got it sorted out.
John is who works for you. For people who don't know, John B. standing right here.
He works for the band, but we hook up on the road.
So ultimately, John's the guy that I have to work to hear "Sick as a Dog" and and "Licking a Promise" and "Kings and Queens" and "No Surprise." What do you think, John? Tomorrow night at the Garden, I'll come with my hit list. Come to the meet and greet.
Yeah.
I have to come to the meet and greet with that? I'll hold up a sign? That would be funny. But you have an interesting dilemma, a dilemma many people wish they would have. I mean, you have, and I'm not even exaggerating here, easily probably 20, 25 songs that you really could put in the category of bona fide hits from whatever decade. Songs that were all over MTV or all over the radio in the 70s. So you've got that, and looking at the set list, the two shows I saw, there's a lot of those songs that aren't even in the set right now. But a good portion of them are, but there's a lot of them that aren't. A song like, I don't know, Angel from Permanent Vacation was an enormous hit.
Right.
I don't think it's not in the set. Now, I personally would vote for probably "Sick as a Dog" over that, but that's just me. But still, when you're talking about pleasing the masses, you've got to find that balance. It's got to be unbelievable.
Well, I guess there are different songs that. There are the fast songs, there's the slow songs, there's the medium songs. I mean, there's also a flow to the way the songs are. There's a dynamics. The dynamics of putting a show together also involve the key changes between the songs, the tempo changes. So we have to keep that in mind as well when we're picking the songs.
How much, Joe, can you guys do in terms of if you threw out something like a nut fan like me, something really obscure, deep from your catalog? You guys would need to really play it. You couldn't just say it that afternoon. You'd need a few days with it. Like if I said "No Surprise" from Night in the Ruts, you're not going to be able to whip that up on me just calling it out, right?
Well, you never know, because we practice a lot of these songs before we go out, knowing that we may want to do them. We've done that with I don't know. I'd say we probably have about 10 or 15 songs that we could muddle through if we had to.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's if I start playing a riff and Steven turns around and he's got the or John's got it ready, or and Steven's got the wherewithal to do it, and the rest of the guys give the nod, we go for it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I mean, Milk Cow Blues, something like that, or something that's
Kings and Queens,
or bluesy, or Kings and Queens. I mean, we've rehearsed those for the tour.
Oh man! Well, I'm going to come to that meet and greet. My request list. But it's really. I mean, the show. I mean, you've got 3-4 decades of fans. Let me ask you this: what have you felt? This being the first tour, first album, since the whole thing with Steven and American Idol, which you guys discussed so much and led to some division in the band, what has been the impact, positive, negative, indifferent, to that you've seen with the crowds and the reception to the band? Do you see different people in the audience that you think wouldn't have been there if you didn't do that?
Not really. Since we haven't had a record in a while, I'm not seeing quite so many of the really young fans, But then on the other hand, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's changed that much. There's certainly a lot more people that want to meet Steven because he's on American Idol. He's become this TV guy, but other than that, the shows seem to be pretty much the same. The same people are showing up. The same age demographics are showing up. I haven't really noticed that much change.
It's a wide. Well, I walked around in the crowd in Wichita, went out to the board, watched from a few different places. It's a wide cross section of fans out there, from the the old school people like myself who, and then older than me actually, probably been there since day one. I came in around Toys and Rocks period, but people
Right.
older than me, certainly a lot of people younger than me, probably male to female, almost 50-50. It's really right down the middle as far as the people who are turned on to this band now, and from new fans to old fans to somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I think another thing that helped was in lieu of not having a new record was the Guitar Hero game.
Right.
When that came out, and that brought in a whole new generation of young fans, and we're they're there now. They're older, obviously, but that's how they got turned on to the band.
Yeah, I actually hosted the press conference for that when you guys did it at the Hard Rock here in New York to
Yeah.
unveil that, and that was a big event, and that was a big thing for sure. I personally never got into that stuff, but I know that that's mega popular. So,
Well, if you want to get kids, from 11 to 18 to 25 or whatever, to hear about your band, having a video game with all your songs on it helps.
yeah, no question, no question. And the show, going back to the show, and we're going to grab the calls in a second. For people who haven't seen it yet, the lighting is unbelievable. You've got this huge ramp that comes out into the crowd. You and Steven kind of coming up out of the floor, which is unbelievable. Now, when I saw you a few months ago in Jersey, you opened with Draw the Line.
Right.
The last two shows I saw you open with Mama Kin.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with either one. I probably lean Draw the Line personally, just because but that's just me. I don't know what you have a preference to, but that opening track. Is there a lot of thought that goes into that?
Well, we're playing Mama Kin, aren't we?
Now, yeah.
Okay.
So that's what you want to do. And then the
But
other.
we just wanted to change it up, you know what I mean? I mean, some of the towns we're going to were, we played it on the last tour, or at least nearby, and we felt like it was, we would give it a rest. I mean, we may go back to Draw the Line. I don't know. We may go to something else. Who knows?
Well, that's interesting too, is how much thought you guys put into that stuff, which I think is really cool, because in Kansas, I sat in your room for a little while, and while you were getting ready, I looked on the wall, and there was a set list taped up there and it said last time we played here.
Right.
And in the case of Wichita, it was almost 10 years or something. It was a long time.
Right.
But you actually, to put that much thought into it, to not give people the same exact show after even a year or two, there's a lot of bands that don't do that. It's cool that you log that stuff and keep that in mind.
Well, I don't know what other bands do, but that's how we do it.
Yeah, it's very cool. And the other thing that I worried about is you got to get yourself a little railing or something at the end when you do Dream On and go up on top of that piano.
No, that's an easy one, man. I mean, I've been in much hairier spots on the stage than that. I've got it's well lit. I can see everything pretty well. So, though sometimes when the strobes hit, they blind you a little bit. But there are other places on the stage that are a little funkier than that.
Still, man, you don't have.
I mean, we tried it. One show we tried it with both of us on the piano, and it was a little tight. I mean, Steven couldn't move the way he needed to. I couldn't move the way I needed to. So we just kind of automatically, worked it out. So literally without talking about it. I mean, I went up and did my solo, and then he went up and got to finish the song, and it worked out great.
I always worry about, my musical heroes when I see them take those steps and there's no railing and it's like one little step and you're going to go down. And
well, you should have seen how cheesy that piano was on the last leg of the tour. I mean, it was held together with glue and gum. let me tell you.
Well, you got knocked around a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think we carried the piano for 2 tours and didn't use it, and it got taken in and out of the truck every time, and we just never set it up. We never used it until this time.
Before I grab the calls, the last thing I wanted to ask you about from me, I mean, I could talk to you forever, of course, but I want to let the audience jump in for a second. How do you feel now that this record is out? Not only about the record itself and how it ended up coming out, because it really is a group record too. When you look at this, I mean, everybody contributed. There's a song Tom wrote on here, all by, yeah, I mean, one that's just his song. I mean, you've got a couple of your own songs on here. There's group contributions across the board. So how do you feel overall about this record and where it stands in the Aerosmith catalog?
Well,
or is it too soon?
Generally, by now, I can't stand to look at the new records. I mean, we've been living with them from the start, from the inception. We've been mixing, overdubbing, and I mean, literally listen to these songs hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, and right up to the point of, to the mixes, which is, it's tedious, and then and you have to go through it, and then there's the mastering. So even whether you like the record or not, or the songs or not, you just generally, you've had enough of it. But this is one record that I really like listening to, and I'm really excited about playing the songs live, because I think that we're giving them a little bit more guts than we did when we wrote them. Mm-hmm. Which it happens naturally. You breathe more life into it when you really find out what the song is about when you get to play it live. And you sometimes you get some surprises in there, and so that's why we're chomping at the bit to add some of these songs. Street Jesus being one of them.
And you do Oh Yeah live. Yeah. Which I really like that song, and it's funny because even though Steven sings it, the first time I heard it, I said, man, this has got Joe written all over it and everything about the song. And then when I look in the booklet, it's your song. And what was the history of that one?
Well, I wrote the music for it. Actually, I wrote the lyrics for it first, and had a different idea for what the music was going to be, of kind of funky kind of thing, and I just didn't like the way it was going, and Steven was going, wow, I really like these lyrics, and so I said, all right, let's move up the tempo and make it rock, and the band kicked the shit out of it, and it rocked out. And then when we started putting the horns and the background singers on it, it really, I could see see people's eyes light up. I wasn't convinced yet. It wasn't like the song I had envisioned singing, and at the same time, Steven's going, I really like this, and I was ready to can it and put it on the back burner for now. And then Jack said, maybe you guys should do a duet on it. And I talked to Billy about it, my wife, and she said, well, if Steven loves the lyrics so much, why don't you let him sing it? He's going to sing the shit out of it. Yeah. And and I was like, it took all three of them to convince me, but Billy was the one that said, give Steven the shot, and he wanted to do it, and sure enough, he did, and I think he did a better job on it than I would have.
But I agree on everything you said, but I totally, when I hear it, could hear you singing it. Like, even the way he sings it, even in his phrasings and stuff in the song, I could totally hear him almost channeling you to some degree. He's going to go in places vocally with it that, obviously, because of his voice, he can do only he can do. But in the way he phrases and sings, obviously they're your words. But
right,
I really hear you singing that song.
Well, one of the things was that I wrote it in a key that was right for my voice, so it wasn't like necessarily a perfect place for his voice, which made him have to sing it a little different,
Right.
which added a whole nother vibe to it that was really cool. So so it all worked out really well, and it's a lot of fun to play live.
Well, I'd love to play that, but I don't know if that's the other song you want to play from the record. I only have one more to play from it, so we can play that another time when you're not here, if that's not the one you wanted people to hear. All right, so we'll hold on that, but here's what I want to do. The calls are all lined up ready for you. But you know what I just pulled up on this computer, speaking of non-Aerosmith stuff we can play, and this is, sure you remember this, because you've been nice enough to do my show a lot of times over the years. 2005. June 17th, 2005, and I know John remembers this. No, this was at our 57th Street studio when XM and Sirius were two different companies, and I was on XM, and you came over and played live for your solo record.
Right.
And the elevator, they wouldn't let you bring your gear up.
Oh yeah, there was a. Oh yeah.
It was a nightmare.
That was hilarious. We had everybody in the band, and it was like putting gear in their coats.
We were all carrying gear.
Billy had fuzz tones in her purse. Everybody was carrying shit up.
Joe's bus is parked out front of the building. I've got pedals. You're just handing me stuff. Anybody that walked by here, take this, because they wouldn't let us use the elevator to go up into the building. It was the craziest scene, and my friend was there. He's got great photos of that whole ordeal with your gear all over 57th Street.
Good. Well, let's see him. I can use him in the book.
Well, he sent you a photo of you and your wife. I think I gave it to you last time, of an 8x10. But yeah. It was a crazy moment, and I'm scrolling through the database here, and I'm finding songs that you played live that day in here. I don't know if you want to hear one of them.
Not particularly. We got other stuff we got to play.
Well, I just thought maybe to change it up if you wanted to hear something that wasn't Aerosmith.
No, I get the one I got in mind will be sufficient to keep you interested, I think.
No, well, I'm very interested, so no matter what. So, all right, so let's take calls. You want to go right into the calls? All right, let's get people on. Let's go to Tulsa and say hello to Doug. Doug, you're on live with Joe Perry.
Hey, Joe, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. Hey, Eddie, long-time listener. I call in all the time. I talk to these guys all the time.
You talk to what guys, Doug?
Say what?
You talk to what guys all the time?
I call into your show all the time.
Uh-huh. Hold on 1 second, Doug. Hold on a second. We lost you there. I'm sorry, Doug. Try back. You had a bad line. Tim in Seattle. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah. Hey, Eddie, great show as always. Anyway, hey, Joe, and I loved you in Front of the Guns. That was awesome. But, hey, my question is real quick. I did the meet and greet in Seattle a month or so ago, and also the show was so good. I'm actually bringing my girlfriend down to see you in Vegas.
Yeah.
In a couple weeks. My question is I got a lithograph when I did the meet and greet in Seattle, and I just want to tell everybody that this will be the 10th time I've seen Aerosmith, and it is without a doubt the best show I've ever seen, period. But my question is, on the lithograph, if I bring it from Seattle to Vegas, is there any chance of getting any autographs on it?
Yeah, there's a chance. It's in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
All right, Tim, well, good luck on that, man. I appreciate the call, but obviously requests like that come in constantly to these guys, so good luck on that. I'm sure if you catch them, you'll get your thing signed. Tim in Georgia, go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, what went on behind the scenes of the Sgt. Pepper movie?
It was a lot of fun to do because it was fun to kind of watch. It was our first experience, with movie stuff, and just watching how they did that. But the big thing was we didn't want Peter Frampton killing Steven. We just didn't think it would be good for our image. And somehow I think we managed to massage it, and they had us believing that it was going to turn out kind of like that. But I think in the end, I think it was they killed each other, and Frampton came to life. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Frampton comes alive?
Yeah.
Right?
I remember.
Thank you, Tim, for the call. We should mention.
Thanks for digging back that far.
Yeah, speaking of the Beatles, you guys doing Come Together in the set, too, which I thought was really cool. I can't hear Come Together without hearing fireworks go off at the end of it, like the live bootleg version.
Oh, yeah.
When it's just bombs go off through the sky. What was that about in the 70s when people threw fireworks at concerts?
You know, I don't know, and I hope they don't. I don't even want to talk about it because I'll tell you, it's the worst. I mean, it's bad enough up there. You never know. You know, obviously women's underwear and flowers, those kind of things are nice, but anything that's got anything that can put a dent in something, please don't throw it.
Well,
Okay.
with today's security, thankfully people probably wouldn't even get in with that sort of thing, but it is a weird thing. Like when I listen to live bootleg, you hear them constantly throughout the songs. They weren't coming off the stage. I mean, having gone to concerts back then,
Right.
people in the upper deck used to do this ridiculous thing and throw M80s and shit from the top.
I know, really, but, well,
Hey, did you ever have experiences like where they went off near you on stage?
yeah, we played in Philadelphia at the Spectrum, and as we were walking off before the encore, one went off, and it had to be an M80 because it got me and Steven. I got it opened up a vein in the back of my left hand, and it burned the cornea of his eye. So we were like rushed off to the hospital, and after that we didn't play Philly for 2 tours, and then we went back and somebody threw a bottle up on stage and cut Steven's lip in the middle of the show. We walked off stage.
Never quite understood the you know, you spend money for a ticket and you're going to see your heroes and then you're looking to blow them up or maim them in some way. It doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Well, and it really fucks it up for all the other people that are there, you know, that are fine.
Yeah.
You know.
Scott, North Dakota, you're on with Joe Perry.
Hey, good evening, Mr. Trunks, and good evening, Mr. Perry.
How you doing?
How are you, man?
Not too bad. Hey, Eddie, I love your show. Can't wait for the middle show to come back on.
Thank you. We had Joe on there once doing a Raider record, and we got to get Joe on there when we start up again in the new year for sure.
Yeah, he needs to get back on there. Well, listen, hey, Joe, I'm just wondering, you know, how much longer are you guys going to be doing this touring? I mean, you know, is it going to go on until you guys just get sick of playing? Or, I mean, you know, I'm just curious about that.
You know, we get asked that a lot, but I got to say, you know, a band can practice, a band can you know, have hits and get out there and play, and but there's something about doing it for as long as this that I'm noticing about. It's almost like being able to read each other's minds, and that's something you can't practice. You can't. I don't know. There's no other way. It just takes time, and a plan together. And I can tell what Joey's going to do with the drum fill, or what Brad's going to play without looking. And we're just getting good at it, I guess is what I'm starting to say. And,
After 40 years, you think you're just getting good?
There's something there. There's an extra thing there besides just hacking your way through the songs, you know.
But Joe, and I'm not just saying this because I'm you know, a mega fan and all that, and that you're here. I mean, because anybody knows me knows that I'll say how I feel. But what really is amazing to me is I'm a fan of so many bands from the same era that Aerosmith came out on, and a great majority of them simply cannot do it anywhere near what they once did. And I'm not going to sit here and slag anybody or anything like that, but there are a lot of them out there that even if they have a lot of different members in the band, it's not the same magic. But above and beyond that, you got a lot of guys, singers that can't even go near singing the way they used to. You mentioned Joe, your drummer. I mean, watching how hard he still hits and how hard he plays still. I mean, drummers are the first guys as they get older to show those cracks. He still kills it up there. The whole band, it's very rare to find that same energy that's there. And I said that about Cheap Trick too, but you guys are really one of the only 2 or 3 that come to mind. So you want to know when a band's going to end, when they're mailing it in or it's not as good as it's been. But when it's this good, I don't know how much longer you think you have. I mean, I don't see any reason to stop because the band is still so good.
Well, you can get bored of being on the road, that's for sure. I mean,
is that the hardest part?
The traveling part's the part that kills you. But
do you see?
But I really can't say about the other bands. All I know is you just stay away from the cream puffs, you know.
But do you see another Aerosmith album, for instance?
I can see we're playing next week.
You go day to day,
and we're going to get through the next 10 dates. Fingers crossed. There's, I mean, the whole opening of the album. I mean, between the hurricane, the record company decided to put the record out on election day. I mean, stuff that's out of our control. You just don't know. So yeah, I take it day to day.
Well, we talked about that when I saw you and sat with you a little bit in Kansas. Is that, I mean, obviously you can't control natural disasters, but you guys, your whole press and setup for this record happened in New York at the height of the whole impact of Hurricane Sandy.
Right to the day, to the second, to the minute. It was unbelievable. I mean, when I saw that big red splotch out there in the Atlantic on TV, I said, "Oh man, don't tell me." You know, and this was like a week before the event, and we had that whole thing planned in front of our apartment, outdoors. You know, and
in Boston,
and you know we were just had our fingers crossed that it wasn't going to blow it off, you know.
Boston didn't get hit. Nothing really that bad there, right, in that area.
Not that bad that I understand. I wasn't there, obviously, but it was. I guess it was pretty windy. But I guess if you weren't watching the Weather Channel, you wouldn't have figured it was anything but a bad rainstorm.
Yeah, and I'll tell you. I mean, as I told you too, being here. Knowing the things you were doing, all the TV shows, all the performances, the interviews, I was dying to hear it all, but I couldn't hear it all or see it because I was here, but I didn't have power or TV or anything. Right. So most people around this area didn't. So even though most of the stuff you were able to get through, a big part of the people here in the New York market didn't actually get to ever see it because you couldn't get service.
Well, that's those are the things you can't control, and there was a great setup for the record that we were hoping that would fall into place, and everything worked except for the storm. You know, it was, and you know, we were supposed to get into Boston to rehearse for 3 days beforehand, right when the storm was hitting, and we were struggling to get into. The flights were getting canceled. I was in LA, Stephen was in LA, and Joey was in Austin, and I think Brad was in Nashville, and we were all figuring out how to get into Boston on the Monday when the storm was going to hit. And I'm thinking, well, we're gonna you know, crawl into Boston, you know, like lug our way in there, and you know, and driving in some limousine from somewhere to, you know, someplace, some airport that's running. And our rehearsal studio is not going to have power. So what's the point? And at the last, you know, so I ended up staying in LA until the last minute, right before the first event.
Right.
I didn't want to miss the view.
Rocky in Boise, you're on with Joe Perry.
Hey, guys, a big fan, Joe. Been following your career since the mid-'70s in Southern California. Eddie, thanks for the chance here. Joe, my question is over the last 40 years, have you guys seen much change in the way you and Steven put together songs, the lyrics? You coming in with melody, Steven coming in with the lyrics. Has that changed over the last 40 years, or is it pretty much the same as it was in the mid-'70s?
I think that we've tried every way you can to change it up since then, and we've gone back. It's kind of ironic. We were nominated this year to be in the Songwriters Hall of Fame. I don't know if we'll get in. We got, you know, it's like a vote like anything else, like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the whole thing. And we've been through, you know, outside songwriters, inside songwriters, the whole thing. And yeah, it's changed in some ways, and in other ways it hasn't. You know, we still have to get in there and pound it out, you know, and make it work.
You have very few people outside of the band as far as writers on this record. You got a couple things with Marty Fredrickson, I know. Your keyboard player, singer in the band, you know, extra guy is Russ Irwin, has a co-write on one song. But outside of that, it's pretty much the 5 guys in the band. Yeah. Which is really, you know, pretty cool, actually.
Well, it's, if you look back at the records that formed our, you know, our backbone of our, you know, of our list, all the songs you're talking about, those are it's the same kind of, it's about the same ratio.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, probably half the record written by me and Steven, and the rest with the other guys.
Alana in New York City. How are you, Alana? You're on with Joe Perry.
Hi, Joe. I'm Alana from New York City. I'm going to your concert tomorrow. I'm really excited. My question to you is, what's your favorite Aerosmith song?
Well,
that's tough.
I have to say, right now, I'm having a lot of fun playing. What is it? What's the new one? This not Street Jesus, but the other one. Love Her a Lot. Love Her a Lot. I'm really Love Her a Lot is probably my favorite song right now.
Alana, did you mean from the new album or like ever?
What'd you say?
Did you mean from the new album or like ever in Aerosmith history?
Oh, well, I meant ever.
Well,
that's why I said that's a tough question.
I assumed that's what you were asking. So that's the song.
Love Her a Lot from the new album is his all-time favorite Aerosmith
It's
song.
bound to change in the next few weeks, but right now that's the one.
There you go. Check it out. It's another good one from the new album. Music from Another Dimension that is currently out, and you can pick it up in a deluxe edition too. That is out there, which is really cool. I haven't gotten that yet, but you got a DVD in there, right?
Yeah, that's the one with the performance of Train Kept a Rollin' at the Hollywood Bowl from the last leg of the tour with Johnny Depp on it.
Yeah, how was that having Johnny up there playing with you?
It was great because he's a great player, and a lot of people don't know that, but he's a great musician, and he just fit right in. It was great.
Let's say hello to Joe from Pittsburgh. What's going on, Joe?
Hey, Eddie, how you doing, brother?
Good, man.
Happy back on the air. I still got the tattoo. I still haven't erased it.
Good for you, Joe. Say hello to Joe Perry.
Yeah, hi, Joe. How you been, brother?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm back in Orlando still. I'm not in Pittsburgh right now visiting my family, but I ride the roller coaster all the time. And my question is, how did you guys and Kiss get along on that Kiss and Aerosmith tour?
We get along great. I have a lot of respect for those guys, as well as just really, we're friends. You know, we go back from the '70s, and I can remember hearing their first record and thinking there was some really great tunes on there, and you know, we kind of they've gone off and they did something that no one else had done. You know, built on like the performance and the theatrical part of things, but kept up with it musically as well. And they did something that no one else has done before or since. And I really like those guys a lot. I mean, they're all good guys.
And obviously, as you know, there was a little bit of heat that made the rounds. I don't know if it was taken out of context or what about what Steven said recently about them that kind of got some traction. But obviously, Steven doesn't speak for you if that's how he feels. But was that? Do you think that was taken out of context, or was there some issues there?
Well, I know that it was taken out of context. But again, I'm not going to speak for Steven. You know, I'm not sure what he said, but I know it was a much longer interview than what was put out there.
It's usually how it happens.
Yeah.
You know, one person says something and they just take the juicy part that they can get a headline out of.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
Kaylee in Colorado, you're on with Joe Perry.
Hi. I was wondering, what's your favorite music video you've ever filmed?
Say again?
Favorite video?
Favorite video? I think it was the one where we kind of dressed up in like weird kind of, they kind of morphed us into different characters.
Pink,
that was the most fun, I think, because we all came up with all these different ideas of how we wanted to look, and then we had these movie guys, you know, that do the movies, do what they did, you know, whether it was in the computer on the Pro Tools, or actually I spent probably 5 hours in the chair having each individual hair glued onto me when I was for the Centaur in that.
right?
And so that I think we had the most fun with, literally the most laughs.
Well, listen, I want to play another song. You certainly, I don't know if you got a split or you want to stay. I'm here for another 45 minutes. It's up to you.
Well, I've been going since 9 o'clock this morning, so
You wanna
I'd
split?
like to play this one last song.
All right, well, here's the deal, though. Hold on.
What is it?
Because
Okay.
the rule is, just so I play by the rule, I can't play the song from the new album next because you can't do 3 in a row. I can do 3 total. So what I have to do is play an old Aerosmith song,
Okay.
and then right out of it I can play something from the new record.
All right.
So what from your catalog do you think we should play? Are you going to leave that one
Try
behind?
to pick one out.
You know what else I love from the later period? I love Fine Fine from Pump.
I love that one too.
That's a great song.
Well,
Is that the ticket?
Go for it,
Is that what
man.
we're doing?
go for it.
All right, let's do this because this is great. If you can hang through this song,
Yeah, we'll do
then
it.
come back and then you can
Yeah,
set up the
sure.
last song from the new album. But this is probably from the relaunch of Aerosmith, which of course happened with Done with Mirrors, which I think is a very underrated album. I think there's great stuff on there too. My Fist Your Face is one of my all-time favorites. But of that period, this album, Pump, is probably my favorite, top to bottom, and this song just rocks. Fine Fine from Aerosmith. We'll come back, we'll wrap up with Joe Perry and give you one more from the new album. I'm assuming that was Steven that wrote that poetry
Of course.
at the end. Shove my tongue between your cheeks. I mean, that's just classic. I smile every time I hear that. How many songs
That's what it's for.
How many songs has he given you a shout out by name in like that? You know, the Joe Perry says, there's a few of them actually.
Yeah. I don't know. I never thought about it.
Which one? Hangman Jury, yeah. And actually, as he walks to the stage, he yells out your name. I mean, I know you're already up there, but I watched him walk to the stage, and he just is screaming out, "Anybody seen Joe Perry? Anybody seen Joe Perry?" So it's a pretty remarkable relationship you guys have had for all these decades.
Yeah, that's why I have to laugh when that other stuff comes out. It's like such a. It could be 2 sentences, you know what I mean? Come and gone, and it just hangs around in the air like some like a rotten egg. Anyway.
All right, man. So I know you got a split, but before you go, just give us the future plan. I know you don't know with Aerosmith beyond these dates, but for you personally, at the top of the conversation, you mentioned another record that you're working on, and I know David's here. You're working on your book. What are the timetable for these things?
Well, I don't know about the record because I haven't got a handle on that yet. But that's probably going to come out around the same time. We're working on, but right now we're working on the book, and we're hoping to have it come out. In fact, it will be coming out around October next year.
And how has this experience been for you? I mean, obviously you were a big part of the story of Walk This Way, the Aerosmith book, but this book personally, how's it going to be different? Is it just
Well,
your story, singular?
It's an autobiography. You know, it's a book. It's a book about my life, and since Aerosmith has taken up probably 3/4 of it, there's going to be some. Probably I'll mention Aerosmith once or twice, but it's going to be. That's what it's going to be. You know.
So we're gonna get some stuff about the project in there, and maybe
there's going to be stuff in about the project, about a lot about like the last 20 years, how we've managed to keep it together. I mean, a lot of stuff has been covered. You know, the little some of the old folklore of Aerosmith and from the first book, you know, that's already out there. We're not going to dwell on that stuff too much because it is already out there. But I think there's a whole another level of things that I want to get off my chest, you know.
Do you think there's a lot of misinformation out there about Aerosmith, besides what we just talked about with that story in the New York paper a few days ago? But overall, do you think there's a lot of misconception, misinformation that's been put out there?
I think I'd say a fair amount. And I want to set the record straight, at least from my point of view. It's going to be my truth of what I felt and what drove me to pick up a guitar and stop everything and do what I did to get this band where it is.
Yeah.
My share, you know.
Right.
I'm not going to speak for anybody else, try and put words in anybody else's mouth. And like I said, it's going to be my truth.
Your family's well, your kids, I was talking about the other day, your son is still playing, right? You gave me the CD. I haven't listened yet, but
yeah.
I will.
Well, shame on you.
I've been traveling, but I will listen to it, I promise you. But the band Tab is your son's band, right?
Yeah.
And how's that going? You working with him at all on it?
It's a great record, and they're looking for distribution right now for it. They have 3 other records that are on iTunes if you want to get a listen.
It's tough, man. Isn't it tough? I mean, for you guys, Aerosmith, you've got the mega name, the mega history, you've got all this stuff. Even for the big established bands, selling music, as you well know, is tough today. But for a band like your son's band, or any people listening out there that have bands they're trying to get a foothold on, trying to get started, I mean, I guess there's pros and cons to every scenario, but it's tough trying to stand out from the pack when everybody can make a record in their bedroom in 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's true, and the whole touring thing has changed. The whole dynamic of having to get out on stage to deliver your music. It's either that or get it on the radio. Otherwise, I mean, that's how it was. I mean, that's what makes us Aerosmith, the band that we are, because we had to go out there and prove ourselves every night. And now you've got everything from people putting music up online, and all of a sudden they're huge stars, or they go on American Idol and all of a sudden they're huge stars. So it's definitely tougher.
It's definitely tougher. And the other thing I see too, and I promise I'll let you go with this, but the touring thing, I thought it was really interesting because I read, somebody mentioned Kiss before, I read Peter Criss wrote a book, and he talked about in the 70s when Kiss toured, the tour was only to sell the album, that all their money was made in album sales, and the tour was to sell the album, and the tours made very little money. Where now, that's completely flipped, where it seems like everyone's on tour, that's where the money is generated, that's where people are sustaining themselves, and the albums almost seem like, just a piece to maybe drive the tour and create new interest. It seems like the whole business model has definitely shifted, whereas, tours were done to sell an album, and now it's more about tours are done to sustain the band, and, oh yeah, the record's coming along for the ride.
Yeah, well, it's definitely true. The record business is not... I mean, when I think of the record business, I think of this 12-inch piece of vinyl, that's what a record is to me. And you know, now we're putting out the vinyl because I guess there's a resurgence. People who realize that the vinyl does sound better, but it's that part of it has changed. The part that hasn't changed is that people want to rock out, they want to have a good time, and there are a lot of artists out there ready to give it to them.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, I appreciate the time so much, coming in on an off night and hanging out in here. It's always an honor and a privilege to have you on the show, and I greatly appreciate it.
I thought you were going to let me talk about this next
We
song.
are. I'm setting you up right now.
All right. Well, this song I wrote a while ago. It was funny because the people I wrote it about no longer work for the band. But the people that, some of the people that do now, or did, a whole nother set of people, the words still apply.
When was it originally written? What year? How long ago?
Oh, God, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years ago. I forget. Anything past like 2 or 3 weeks ago, it could be 5, 10, 15 years. It works. Anyway, what it does, though, is when Stephen and I first got together, the very first time we played together, he played drums and I played guitar, and we jammed together. And we spent about 3 hours playing songs we knew, songs we didn't know. This was back in 1969 or something like that. So when I wanted to do this song, finally, I asked Stephen if he wanted to play drums on it. So it's kind of going around full circle, because it's him on drums and me on guitar, and there's very little else on the record.
How is Stephen as a drummer?
I think you're going to find out in a minute.
Besides this track, though, because his history was as a drummer, obviously, when as you just said. I mean, but does he still actively play? Like,
well, he'll sit down and jam once in a while. I wish he would practice a little more, but he makes up for it because he comes from a different planet when he plays drums, and I mean, he's really a gas to play with.
Yeah, it's funny because Joey Kramer mentioned in his book that having a drummer front the band, the guy that he knows full well is a really good drummer, always keeps him on his toes, because Stephen plays himself and can sit there and really be on him about stuff.
And I think that's also given Stephen a different outlook on the way he writes his lyrics. He's really into the rhythm of things. Yeah. So that's also another thing that makes him a little unique.
All right, well, the album is Music from Another Dimension from Aerosmith. It is out now. The tour is at Madison Square Garden in New York City tomorrow and continues for the next few weeks, headed towards the West Coast. Go to aerosmith.com to find a date near you. Make sure you get there on time. See Cheap Trick as well, who turn in a great hour to open the show, and then Aerosmith will come on and blow you away for 2 hours. Amazing energy, amazing performance, amazing stage show. That screen behind you guys is insanely cool. The lighting, I was hanging with lighting guy Cosmo at the board. He got to show me all his stuff and all the tricks of the lighting. It's just such a cool show. So,
well, thanks a lot. And everybody out there, whatever you're listening to this on, turn it up a little bit more. This song will sound a little better.
It's called Something. Joe Perry on the new Aerosmith album. Check it out. We'll be back. We got about a half an hour left to go. Thanks again, Joe.
Okay, thanks, man.